Welcome, losers. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today we had some really crazy news. Honestly, just the last few weeks have been absolutely unbelievable. I guess in this day and time, maybe not unbelievable because things have just been crazy. Today there was a shooter in the state of Michigan that shot up a church, injured several people, killed one of the people. I think there's some people that are still in critical condition. And this is all in the wake of the Charlie Kirk assassination, a few more school shootings. And guys, I am a conservative and more right-leaning. I'll preface this video with that, but I think it is now time that we have the discussion about gun control and what that looks like. This is going to rile some people up. I already know, but just be patient, be willing to listen. More than anything, I want to create an open dialogue. So in the comments, let me know what you think. Perhaps we can find a solution, but first and foremost, I want to read the article so we can grasp the full depth of everything that transpired today. So let's get right into it. As you can see, Michigan church shooting leaves 2 dead, suspected identified as 40-year-old man. A gunman who rammed his vehicle into a Michigan church, set it on fire, and opened fire on worshipers who had been identified by police as Thomas Jacob Sanford, 40, of Burton. The attack unfolded just before 10:30 a.m. Sunday in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in Grand Plunk Township, where about 150 people were attending services. Authorities said that the alleged shooter exited his truck armed with what appeared to be a rifle and began shooting indiscriminately. Police confirmed that 2 people have died, 7 others are in stable condition, and 1 remains in critical condition. Officers shot and killed Sanford after an exchange of gunfire. And here you can see the church on fire. I mean, this, guys, we've got to call it for what it is. I need your full attention. These are acts of terrorism against our communities. I'll say that again. These are acts of terrorism against our communities. And guys, now is not the time to be, well, I hope it was a liberal that did it, or it couldn't have been one. Or that stuff doesn't matter anymore. I don't know how we've gotten to where we are. I don't really know how you get from point A to point Z. A lot of things have got to happen. What matters is that we're here now. And I want to talk about how we can potentially overcome this as a nation. Like, obviously, I don't believe that we should just take all firearms away and leave them in the hands of the government. I don't think our forefathers would agree with that either. But there has got to be some sort of gun control that is put into place. I'm sick of it. As a conservative, I'm sick of it. I respect and appreciate the right to own a firearm as much as the next guy. I'm from Louisiana. I grew up with my stepdad taking me out to the woods, rabbit hunting, deer hunting, duck hunting, dove hunting, all these things. I'm not into it as much anymore, but I grew up with a 410 shotgun and then using a 12 gauge. And, I remember the feeling of graduating to the bigger caliber guns. And, my stepdad taught me how to carefully handle one, what should be done, what should not be done. We had a lock case in our house where we kept all the firearms. But a lock case just isn't enough for crazy. See, crazy transcends the barrier of a lock case. And as we see in this circumstance, it's not just crazy kids, misguided children, younger adults that are committing these heinous acts. This guy was 40 years old. Now, I do want to add that he is a war veteran. He was in war. There was another event today, I believe in North Carolina, where another war veteran killed some folks. 2 shootings in one day. There was a school shooting on the day of Charlie Kirk's death. Guys, I am tired of it. This was something like in the 90s, 2000s, like we had just never seen. We had just never seen before. And now it's a regular occurrence. And another thing that needs to be called out, Black people have been waiting for this to be acknowledged, and I think it needs to be, just as African American people need to understand the violence and the problems within their own community. We got to call a spade, folks. These acts of terrorism come from no one else than white people. Now, I'm mixed, but I like to identify myself as white. You know, you can identify me as whatever. I'm telling you about me. We got to call out our own people, guys. What the hell is going on? This isn't normal. This isn't right. This should not be happening. And as the world grows increasingly evil, I just don't think we can leave it upon the shoulders of the citizens to do the right thing. Now, what is it, you may ask, that I would have in mind? I'm not going to tell you that my idea is the answer, but we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it. First, I want to play a clip of one of the survivors from the church. I want to hear her talk about her experience, because I mean, I can't even imagine, like, these kids in these schools, these people in these churches, these people in the movie theaters, what they go through. So I want to hear what she has to say. We're going to bring her up to stage right now. Hold on. I want my circle. There we go. We'll go to full screen here.
Paula was in that vehicle. You were in that car when the shooting happened. You were inside the church.
I was inside the church.
You were inside the church. So walk me through what happened.
Okay, we went to church.
She seems
we
calm.
sat down. We had just gotten done with our sacrament, the sacrament for our meeting. One of our counselors was up speaking, and we heard a big bang.
Real quick, so as you can see, it says one dead. Another person has died since then. This was just a few short hours ago.
And the doors blew. And then everybody rushed out. And we went through the church and out through the parking lot. They were trying to get us down to the lake. But the lady that I was trying to help out, she couldn't make it that far. So we got us back up in the parking lot and got us into the Taylor's car. When we got in the cars and we flipped around, and that's when the shooter started shooting at the car.
Started shooting at the car.
And Brother Taylor is fine. It hit his hand. And then we got over there and we came here, and these nice people let us in, and we've been here since.
Thank God for the nice people that let them take up refuge in their place. Okay, so I want to get to my thoughts about something we could maybe, potentially, probably do to put a stop on all of this violence. So right now, in the state where I live, probably in the state where you live, I have got to get my car re-registered every single year, every other year. I mean, it's ridiculous. We also have something called inspection stickers. Now, your state might have the fog test, where you've got to go make sure that your car meets the requirements to make sure it's not polluting the air too much, right? I suggest that if we own firearms, that we should do something similar. That still leaves the fact, though, that evil people who are demented, can still use that re-registered firearm in a negative way. I understand that. From what I understand, guns can be gifted without any crazy legal process from one person to another. I've heard that from someone close to me in my home state. Now, as far as someone going through the legal process to get a firearm, I do know that it can be difficult if you don't have anything on your background. If you have history of violence and history of mental illness, it's almost impossible to get one, from what I understand. I think as a nation, if we're going to allow firearms, we need to know who has them by getting them registered, and we need to keep tabs on those who have them via re-registration every few years, and I'm not going to act like I have all the answers here. In the UK, they have a real big problem, but it's not with guns, because they did away with firearms. They have a problem with people stabbing each other. Guys, if all we had was pillowcases left, there would be someone who put shoes or rocks in the pillowcase and then went out and to do what they want to do. As we see here, a vehicle was used to ram into the church. And that's another argument that I've heard. Well, if all people had was vehicles, They would use vehicles in the same way you use firearms. Well, you know what? We'll get to that road. We'll cross that road once we get there. But for right now, this conservative is calling for some sort of gun control. And more than anything else, this conservative is calling for accountability amongst my former white people. Why is it always us? Why, we love to say, oh, it's the usual suspects. Why are we the usual suspects with these acts of terror? That's what they are. They're acts of terror. I want to see something happen. I want to see a solution. So guys, let me know down in the comments what you think could help this. I'll holler at you soon.